In the last house that I was renting, I could hear the TV, I could hear the neighbours shouting, I could hear them talking on the phone, I could hear their phone ringing. It was just too noisy for me. So if we could get a 3-bed detached house, that would just be amazing. Like, thank you, Jesus. Hey goddesses, thank you so much for stopping by at my channel, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I've made a couple videos in the past about like, you know, using ISAs to save for a property, so using a lifetime ISA. I've also made videos about me moving back home in order to just start saving for my first property, but now I am at the beginning of the journey. So I wanted to share with you the kind of things that me and my partner are looking for in our first property. I've actually got it written down in my notebook, and I believe I've got 19 things that we've identified that we want to have in our property. So I just thought, why not just come in here and share our kind of like must-haves and non-essentials with you, especially if you're at the beginning stage of your house buying journey and you're looking for homes right now. I think it's really good to start off this journey by just getting really clear in our minds about what we want and what we don't want, and also what are the non-negotiables, so what are the absolute must-haves of a property, and also some of the things that we can like not, you know, give or take, like it's not really that much of a necessity if the property doesn't have that stuff. So we've been using prime location, we've been using Zoopla, and we've been using Rightmove a little bit, mainly Zoopla and prime location. So I guess in terms of areas, we currently live in London. We live in, well, I live in central London, he lives in South London. We're looking to move out of London because yeah, we haven't seen the kind of properties we want within London, so we kind of like by default have to look outside of London. So we're looking at Essex and we're looking at Kent, because those are two areas that the journey to work doesn't seem to be too bad for us. So I guess in terms of actual locations, if we're looking at Essex, or if we're talking about Essex, we have been prioritising Ockenden, Thurrock and like Trafford 100, so that kind of like Grays area. And then when it comes to Kent, we've been looking at a few areas in Kent, because quite a few areas in Kent are still like within a 1-hour commute by train into London, so into work for us. So we've been looking at Dartford, we've been looking at Gillingham, we've been looking at Rainham, we've been looking at Strood, Chatham, Sittingbourne, Greenhithe, and I think those are probably like the main areas of Kent we've been looking at. I've got some notes, that's what I'm looking down. So yeah, we just want to stay within about a 1-hour commute to London, so that the journey to work is not too onerous. Even though I work like 95% of the time from home, we've got to be mindful of his journey into work. So we've been looking at Essex and Kent in terms of areas, and then we kind of like just sat down together as a couple and just thought, okay, what are our absolute non-negotiables? What must this property have? Because we are both first-time buyers. We currently both live with our parents. We've been saving up for I think 2 years now, and we are just so ready to move out. But because it's our first property, and we're also planning on buying our forever home, so ideally we wouldn't want to move again. We just want to get our forever home now and just be done with it. So we need to be really specific about the kind of property that we're buying. So looking into what our non-negotiables are, we've identified 5 things that we just cannot move on, like that we can't bargain on. The property must be or must have these 5 things. So number 1, the property must be a house. We are very clear that we are not looking for flats. We both live in flats at the moment with our parents, and we are just over flats, so it must be a house. And kind of linked to that as well, it must be a freehold. Most houses in the UK are freeholds, but I've heard that there are some houses that are actually leaseholds, so for us it's totally non-negotiable that the house must be a freehold. Our third non-negotiable was the price. So although we can afford houses that are more than 300k, we don't actually want to spend, we don't want to we don't want to spend more than 300k on a house, because we just feel like it's just a lot of money. So we've kind of like picked not a random number from the air, but we just feel like if a house is 300k or less, we'd feel really comfortable with that figure. But as soon as a house is like 310k, 325k, 345, that to us feels like really expensive, like a lot of money. So we've just decided that we don't want to end up spending more than 300k on our house. And actually, a good thing that my brother told me is that even though we don't want to spend more than 300k, when we're looking online, when you apply the filter to the house property that you're looking at, we should still actually put houses that are more than 300k, like 325k, whatever. It's usually 325 and 350 the filters are. So we can definitely, and we should definitely still put houses that are over our budget, because when it comes to negotiating with the sellers, you obviously try to offer lower than the asking price. So a house that is actually on the market for 325k, for example, we may be able to get the price down to 310, 300k if we're even lucky. So in terms of price, we don't want to spend any more than 300k, because anything above that just sounds like a lot of money for us. And then the fourth thing that we were thinking of that is our non-negotiable is the size of the property. So our house that we want to buy, it must be at least 3 bedrooms. So we're looking at a three bedroom property. If the house has 4 bedrooms, then like amazing, that would be absolutely like out of this world. But I think realistically it must be minimum of 3 bedrooms, because we want to, again, we're looking for our forever home. So we want to have to get a house that we can grow in and have a family in, and just 2 bedrooms won't be enough. And then also, although we're not looking to have a lot of kids, I work from home most of the time, and I also have my business on the side as well. So I literally need like my own office space. So I kind of needed like a room dedicated to be an office or a study. So 1 bedroom is for us, obviously 1 bedroom is for the study stroke office. That only leaves 1 bedroom for an actual child to have. So minimum 3 bedrooms. If it can be 4, amazing, but yeah, absolute minimum it must be 3 bedrooms, and ideally 2 of those bedrooms must be doubles. So yeah, I think we're quite specific on the size of the number of bedrooms the house must have, and also the size as well. And then our fifth non-negotiable, our absolute essential, is more of my partner's rather than mine. He's really particular about the like the floor plan of the house. So what he's told me is that he doesn't want a house that has an open plan kitchen living area. So he wants the living room and the kitchen to be completely separate rooms. He is just completely against open plans. I don't mind open plans. I literally, I don't mind them at all, but he is like really against them. So even when we have been doing like the searches online, as soon as he sees on a floor plan that it's open plan, he's like, no. So yeah, not having an open plan is our fifth non-negotiable. And I think it's really important, actually, if you're buying a property with your partner, it is, we do need to be mindful that we have to compromise. Like, even though it's not a biggie for me, it's a real big thing for him. So when you're buying with someone, you do have to kind of like take their wants into consideration, and not just like bulldoze what you want and just go like, red lights flashing. It's I like, don't only care about what you want, care about what your partner wants, because it's you both who will be living there. So yeah, those are our 5 absolute essentials, non-negotiables. Our property must be or have those 5 things. And then we have a few other things that we would like in a property. yeah, so there are a few other things. Let me run through the list as well. So what we've got here is that ideally we would like a property that has a bathroom, that has a downstairs bathroom, so like a downstairs cloakroom. Not essential, but that just would be amazing if our house had like more than one toilet to use. It's like really annoying having to wait for someone to finish in the bathroom to be able to use the toilet. So yeah, that would be really nice if our property has a downstairs toilet. It would also be nice if the property had a hallway area. What my partner doesn't like is when, as soon as you open the front door, you walk back smang or slack bang into the living room or the, you know, a lounge or whatever. So he really wants our house to have a hallway area so that you can actually walk through the hallway up into the stairs without having to go through a room. And actually it would be really nice to have a place where we can actually store coats and shoes and stuff without having to encroach into an actual like living room. And one of the things that we'd like is for the property to have parking. So you know, if the house doesn't have a garage, ideally we would love to, or not really we, my partner would love to have a garage, but if the property doesn't have a garage, he would like to have like front parking, or if not front parking, rear parking. He doesn't like the idea of having to park on like a street or like streets round the kind of like house kind of thing. He wants his car to be very like it within viewing distance of the house. In terms of the where the house is located, it shouldn't be like more than 15 minutes walk from the nearest train station. If we are going into the office for work, it would be nice if we didn't have to like spend half an hour just getting to the train station. The property should ideally be within a 1 hour commute from our work place. Even though I don't go into the office much, especially due to the whole this whole like pandemic situation we're in, I guess we'll eventually end up going back to the office at some point. So ideally the house wouldn't be more than like an hour door to door. Don't know if that's possible, but that's ideally, that's our first choice, our door to door commute. If not, ideally the train journey itself wouldn't be more than an hour. I have done commutes in the past where it was like a 2 hour commute, no lie, and it just drains the energy out of me. Like I was so tired. I'd have to wake up at like 5:15 in the morning in order to get to work, and then like I'd have to rush as soon as the clock hit 5 o'clock because I knew how long it would take me to get back home. And then you just like eat your dinner and then feel like there's not much time left in the evening to actually enjoy life. So yeah, commute time is really important for both of us. And then also what's important for me as well, the house ideally shouldn't be like more than like a 15-20 minute walk from the nearest post office, because again I have my own business, so like daily I'm doing post office runs to post off orders. So I tend to do those within like my lunch break, or I just take like a very late lunch break during the day if it's a working day, but I need to kind of like do it within an hour. So ideally the post office wouldn't be too far from the house. Ideally the house would have a modern interior. So I guess for us, we're not, at first we were solely looking for new builds because you know, new builds are just really nice and swanky and it's just fresh and no one's lived in it before. But when we went online and we saw the prices of new builds in comparison to older properties, we were just like, oh my god. New builds are really expensive. You don't realise how expensive they are until you compare them to like a similar property that is older. And one of our main priorities is to kind of like not spend too much money in this whole house buying process. So if we are not able to get a new build, like a new build would be our ultimate dream, like our first option. But if we're not able to get a new build property, even if we end up getting like a Victorian house that was built in the 1900s, we ideally would have loved for the previous owners to have done it up within the last few years, so that although the outside of the house is quite old, the inside is really modern and you know, just airy and modern essentially. So also we would ideally love for the house to be a semi-detached house. This kind of like came more from me, to be honest, because I've rented in multiple houses before, and the first house I rented in, it was like a terraced house is what it's called. So like there was a house on either side, and although the neighbours weren't actually noisy in that house, but it was more like my second and third rentals. They were semi-detached houses, and oh my god, like I could hear the neighbours' TV, so annoying. And then in the last house that I was renting, I could hear the TV, I could hear the neighbours shouting, I could hear them talking on the phone, I could hear their phone ringing. It was just too noisy for me. So if we could get a 3-bed detached house, that would just be amazing. Like, thank you, Jesus. Our lives are done. Oh, that would just be absolutely amazing. But again, because of our budget, we need to be realistic. So most of the houses that we've seen so far online that are like within our 300k budget, they tend to be like mid-terraced houses or end of terrace houses or semi-detached houses. So therefore we're only looking at either like semi-detached houses or end of terrace houses. So yeah, our house kind of like, it needs to be that, because we don't want neighbours on both sides, because it just increases the chances of having noisy neighbours like by 2. It's just too risky. So I'd rather just like try and get an end of terrace or semi-detached house, and then just pray that we have quiet neighbours. And then also a nice to have would be an ensuite as well. So you know, we've just both grown up in houses that just have 1 bathroom, so you've got to wait until someone's finished in the bathroom before you can go in there. The rental properties that I lived in before I moved back home with my parents, well, 2 of them, two out of 3 of them, I had en suites in, and it was just a dream. It was like paradise. So I would love to have an ensuite bathroom again, because yeah, having your own bathroom or not having to wait until someone else finishes in the toilet or in the bath in order for you to go in there is just like amazing to me. So that's also on my list as well. I guess I wanted to share the list with you because just to give you some kind of ideas if you're on this house hunting journey as well, and you're literally right at the beginning like we are, and you're just kind of like trying to suss out in your head, okay, what do we really want? Now that we've finished saving, we can actually start looking for houses. Okay, so let's get really clear in our minds, what do we actually want here? Because again, for us, we hope to buy our forever home, so we've got to get this right first time. So therefore we've got to be really, really clear in our heads, okay, what do we want, what will work for us, and what will continue to work for us and our children in the future. So that's why we're being really, really pedantic about what we want and what we don't want. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful in terms of giving you ideas about what maybe some of your non-negotiables now that you're looking for your own property as well, or even if you're not at that stage of actually looking for properties, just kind of like you having a rough brainstorm as to, okay, what would I like in my property, what would I like in my house. Hopefully this helped. Please subscribe to the channel because I'm going to try and document as much as possible about my house buying journey. So if you are interested in, you know, people who are first-time buyers who live in the UK, who are like quite young, doing this, you know, by themselves, not being helped by bank of mum and dad, you know, please subscribe because yeah, I guess we're all learning, and I think it is quite an interesting and exciting journey. So definitely subscribe if you're into property videos, first time buyers, people who are like in their late 20s. Well, I'm now in my 30s but we're like in our early 30s, mid 30s, and we're just doing this for the first time, and we're just trying to like build our lives together. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Yeah, I'm just really, really grateful. I'm happy to be making videos again, so hopefully I will see you soon for the next one. But yeah, thank you so much for today. Take care and God bless, and I will see you soon. Bye.